Hello, welcome into the Skraby Show for July 23rd, 2025. Thank you for joining me tonight. We got a lot to talk about, and we have some trades to talk about as well, or trade rumors, I should say. No trades have been made. I know that I'll get a couple messages. What? There's been a trade? There have been no trades. And I am in my feels today about how people are interacting with me on social media. I feel like people are hearing what they want to hear today, and that's fine. I hear what I want to hear all the time. But there's just sometimes it's like I'll say something and then I get messages, dude, they've actually done this a million times before. And I think you're getting a little preview at the Daily Gripe. I have a Daily Gripe at the end of the show. We'll go over that. Also, the title of the article is Analysts Speculate Live Sports Could Have a Napster Moment, and I'll explain near the end of the show. But I'm going to start with this because just got done with Gwen and Chris, and I needed some 2 minutes of break or 3 minutes of break from talking about the Padres, because we'll talk a lot about the Padres. But I think what I'm going on vacation for here tomorrow through Monday is a good thing, but it's also one that the older I get, the less I want to do it. And I know this is going to sound bad when I reveal what I'm doing, but I'm going to a family reunion, and it was a mandatory family reunion, mandatory, sent down by my mom. And I don't get to see my family as often as I used to see it, for sure. So, like, I understand why they want to have a family reunion, because it's been a while since everybody's gotten together. I'm actually going to be able to meet my nephew, who was born like a month ago, for the first time. So that's kind of cool. We're going to be up in the mountains. So I'm going to do some hiking and things like that. But here's what I don't know about. And that is that I have to explain to everyone what my job is over and over and over. Not just what my job is. Oh, do you have any girlfriends? Oh, are you going to get married? And I feel like there would be a better way to do things at a family reunion. What if, like, I was thinking about this last night, because I don't want to have that conversation with every single person there. I really don't want to have that conversation with every person there, because it's like, I understand that's part of a family reunion. Um, I understand that, but what if we all, because everybody has the same questions for each other. I actually kind of just stick to my own thing. Outside of the radio, I'm not much of a attention seeker. So I kind of just stick around by myself, maybe walk off and go for a hike on my own, just so I don't have to talk to anybody. And that sounds terrible, and it probably is. But what if the family reunion started like this? Everybody got on a stage, and each person has to go and answer questions for the crowd. I think this is perfect, because then we only have one of those getting to know you things, and I won't get the same question a million times. Like, I get it. I'm complaining about something that's really nice, and I have a good family. We're close. Like, there's going to be no ill will, there's going to be no drama, nothing like that. But I just don't want to talk about my life as much as they want to talk about my life. I want to just have fun, talk about current events, talk about sports, talk about different things. And so that is where I would like to change how family reunions are done. I would like for family reunions to have one portion of it to be like the Q&A for everyone, because I know that one of my cousins is getting married in October, and so she has lots to fill everybody in on. So maybe when she gets on stage, they can ask her everything, and then we're done with that. And then we could just go have regular conversations for the rest of the time. And I am, again, close with this side of the family, but I know what's coming, and I know what questions are going to be asked, and I know everything that's about to happen. And I can't say it's not my favorite, because it's fine. In the end, it's fine. but I'm not someone who likes to talk about my life all that often. And yeah, I think that there should be. Joseph has it right. A family reunion press conference. That's what we need to do. A family reunion press. I'm gonna actually suggest this because it's going to be the question of, and they get what I do, but they don't really understand what I do. So I have to explain it in further terms. And I don't really think that I want to do it. But obviously I'm going and I'm going to do it. And I probably will have a fun time. And I'll probably end up coming back saying, oh, it was the greatest family reunion of all time. But I think there needs to be a different way of doing things. Also, I don't like the mandatory family reunion. That's right, Mom. I'm talking about it. My mom loves getting a family together. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I appreciate her for that because if she didn't force me into it, I wouldn't do it. So the mandatory part makes it seem like it's a prison sentence. But that's where I'm going the next few days. That's where I'll be in the mountains near Yosemite. It's going to be nice. I can't take my dog though cuz the Airbnb house wouldn't allow pets, which is unfortunate. So Lucky's going into he's going to be watched, which he's going to be very sad. He's going to be very sad. I'm going to be very sad, and I can't wait to get home. I'm already looking forward to coming home on Monday and getting him. But I don't know what you guys think. J Max says just print out an about me flashcard. That's actually kind of funny. Put the answers on a t-shirt. LOL. And McKee says, I like that. J-Mac also says, my spouse still doesn't know what I do after 8 years. Okay. Also, we all feel that way, but when you don't have them, you'll miss them. I understand that for sure. I do. I really understand that. Hamby tomorrow? No ham bone. No Hambino. It's going to be Adam. There was another comment. Oh, Brandon said they want to ask what trades the Padres are making as if you're in the room with AJ Preller. Actually, for this sort of family, they're not San Diego people. They're mostly from the Bay Area and elsewhere. So it's not that way. And that's kind of nice because I don't actually know what AJ Preller is going to do. And this, thank you, Brandon, is going to segue into the conversation about the trade deadline, which is coming up next Thursday. We're going to have a roundtable that day, so that'll be fun. And we're also going to, it's a Padres off day, so we have a full show. I believe we'll even have a Skraby show on the trade deadline day. So lots going on on 97.3 The Fan. But the new thing, not the new thing, we've been talking about for a long time. I can't say the new thing, but the new name being pushed by the media is Dylan Cease. And the trade rumors have gone crazy. The trade rumors have gone crazy about Dylan Cease. And I understand them, and I don't understand them at the same time. So Buster Olney, who I'm trying to get on the show for the guys so he can kind of explain what he's hearing, because he tweeted out this morning, a surprise name has emerged in the starting pitcher market. Dylan Cease, who will be eligible for free agency at year's end. Perception of other teams is that the Padres are intent on making a push for the playoffs and would use Cease to help fill other roster needs. Mets, AL East teams, Cubs among teams that have talked about him. I really don't know why the Padres would ever trade Dylan Cease to the Mets, even if it's a rental. Because at some point during the playoffs, you may have to go through them. And even though we've seen Dylan Cease struggle this year, I don't want to face that guy with motivation. Like, hey, you guys traded me away. You didn't want me. I don't want to face that guy in the playoffs. What if he goes to New York and they go on to win the World Series? I mean, that would be unfortunate for all of us. Another Buster Olney tweet was Padres have talked to the Orioles about Charlie Morton, so maybe the plan is to add a starter like Morton if Cease is dealt for other assets. And so what he's saying there is Cease is dealt for 3 prospects, and then immediately AJ Preller turns those prospects around for to get someone major league ready on the team that they need. I don't feel comfortable with having Charlie Morton in this staff. If you're mad at Dylan Cease, not mad, but if you're upset with how Dylan Cease has pitched this year, I don't think Charlie Morton is that much better at all. At all. He's 5-8 this year. He has started 15 games. He has a 5.58 ERA in 88 and 2/3 innings. He has 92 strikeouts, which isn't crazy amount, but you're giving up over 100 strikeouts from what Dylan Cease does. And then his whip is 1.556. He's also almost 4. He'll be 42 in November. But this year, he's given up 7 runs twice. He's given up 5 runs twice. He has pitched in games where he's come out of the game early. I am not on this Charlie Morton rumor whatsoever. And I'm really hoping it's not the case, because I don't think that is a suitable replacement for Dylan Cease. And you got to think, okay, you're going to have Michael King back. And if they do trade Dylan Cease, I definitely think that the writing is on the wall for Michael King, that he will be back, and they're comfortable with that. And again, Dylan Cease is a guy who's going to be a free agent after this year. So if the Padres don't trade him, they are not going to get anything for him. They might make a qualifying offer. I don't even know if that's a thing. I should have checked on that. Eek. But they will not get a big return for Dylan Cease at all if they keep him through the end of the year. So I understand why some people say use him as trade bait. I also understand why some people say use Robert Suarez as trade bait. And players trying to misdirect everyone by saying that Dylan Cease is available. I personally, and I know that Dylan Cease has not been the guy we thought he was going to be this year, but I personally don't want to give up on Dylan Cease. I don't. I like what Dylan Cease can do. And I've come to the point in my sports talk life that I can talk about these trade rumors, but they're exactly that. They're just rumors. And I like Buster Olney. He's great to me personally. He's great to the show. He's great to the station. Always been a pleasant person to work with. But I feel like this is just clickbait. And another thing of this whole Dylan Cease saga is when you look at these rumors, and you look at the comments, you see fans wanting Dylan Cease on their team. And I get it. It's going to help a team maybe get to the next step. But why, if Dylan Cease is a good pitcher, or a bad pitcher, I mean, why would so many teams want him? If so many teams are willing to trade for him, why is this such a no-brainer for the Padres? Clay in the South Bay says, Skraby, Morton would not bring anything but age to the pitching staff. I agree. It makes me think of like when they brought in Jake Arrieta and Rich Hill. Like, Jake Arrieta was at the end of his career, didn't work out. Rich Hill definitely did not work out for the Padres. I don't get Charlie Morton being a name that's being bantied about. I just don't understand it. I do not think that will help the team. And again, I'm speaking from a place where I don't have all of the information. Maybe Charlie Morton is a better pitcher than his numbers show, but I just don't think that's going to upgrade this team. I don't think it's going to happen that way. And Dylan Cease is someone who is, I think, underappreciated because he did have that really great year with the White Sox. I think he's also a little bit underappreciated because of how he performed in the playoffs last year, and that is a big deal. He did not pitch well in the playoffs last year, and it cost the Padres a couple games, which is a totally fair argument if you want to make that argument. But I would much rather go into the playoffs knowing you're going to lose Dylan Cease. Like, if you can't find a deal, the deal has to help the team now. The deal has to help the Padres get to the next step. And if it's a net zero type of trade, I don't want that. I don't need a lateral trade. I want a trade that's going to make the Padres better now. I can't think of any team that any losing team that's going to trade for Dylan Cease and going to give up a haul for him. because they don't need him. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So now you're only talking about teams that are in contention, teams that have a chance to go all the way. And those are the teams that you're going to have to play in the playoffs. So there is some part of me that thinks this is all a smokescreen for some other deals. And I really can't see the Padres trading Dylan Cease to a team like the Mets or the Cubs. I really can't see it. Again, my caveat is unless this is a deal that makes the team better now. That's my caveat. But otherwise, I think you kind of have to go into the end of the year with Dylan Cease on the team and just accept that he might not re-sign here in free agency, and he likely won't re-sign here in free agency. His year hasn't gone the best, so I don't know that he's going to get top dollar like he would have a couple years ago. But at the same time, some team is going to see him and say, you know what, we can fix him, and we're going to give him some money because he does strike out a lot of guys. He strikes out. Last year, he was like second in strikeouts in the league. This year, he has 139 strikeouts, not including today. And I would be sad to see Dylan Cease go for a move that doesn't make any sense. I also need the move to make sense. Only way I believe he gets traded is by getting a ready left fielder and prospects to flip for a big league pitcher. I really don't even think left field is a big issue anymore. Gavin Sheets has proven to me that he can play left field. He might not be the best defender in the world, but he has proven to me that he can play left field, and he can play it at a decent enough level that they don't need to replace it right now. But he has struggled as of late. He still has that, he still has the power that the Padres are looking for. He needs to be a little bit, more consistent down the stretch with some big hits. But the only reason I trade Dylan Cease is if you can be better now, because the Padres are in a win now mode. I don't see you trading Dylan Cease for a couple prospects that you're going to just keep in your system, unless those prospects are then turned and traded for someone else, which it could happen. It really could happen. I don't know that I want to go that way. Clay said, let's see, Skraby, have you considered that the trolls are starting the rumors? I'm getting these rumors from major league reporters, and they could be trolls in some people's eyes, and sometimes they are. But I don't know that these guys are just going to report something just to report something. I would like to hope that they wouldn't do that. I know that some definitely do, but the guy like Buster Olney is not tweeting this because he just decided to wake up and tweet it. He's tweeting it because he's hearing it. So maybe that's just the feelers from the Padres out there trying to get Buster Olney to churn up the with teams. But I really think that you need to think long and hard if you're the Padres about giving up Dylan Cease, even if he doesn't give you anything in the end when he is done with his contract at the end of the season and is a free agent. Joseph, heard a rumor of us looking at Ozuna. What do you think about that? He would have to be our everyday DH. I will answer what I think about Marcell Ozuna on the other side. You're listening to the Skraby Show. We still got a lot more to go. We're going to talk about something that bothered me about the Padres game today. That really actually bothered me. And we also have the Daily Gripe. We have a lot more to go here in the next 40 minutes on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. Apparently, I've confused everyone out there about where to watch the show. There's I have it on 2 YouTube channels, so you can choose which one you want. It's kind of like an alternate broadcast, I guess. But I guess it's confusing people. So I'm gonna make it easy for everybody. Just go to 97.3 The Fan SD on, or search for 97.3 The Fan on YouTube, and you will find it. Yes. So I've been dealing with something where I've been trying to help my mom with tech problems. Sorry, mom, you're getting thrown under the bus a lot tonight. But I shouldn't just single her out. It's more than just my mom. But like and I'm not talking about anyone on the chat. This is in my everyday life. But I keep getting questions about tech, and I know that I'm good at tech. And maybe this is, I'm a little bit perturbed today because the Padres lost and all of that, and the cease trade talks kind of perturbing me because I don't want Cease to go anywhere. But I get these questions about tech, and I'm like, I really, really don't understand why it's so hard. And I'm not, again, talking to anybody on the chat. I'm not. I promise you, because having a Skraby show and a 97.3 The Fan YouTube is a little confusing. But on the bottom, I told everybody where to go. If they want to be a part of that, I got to figure out a better way, because this is a me problem. This is not a you problem. I got to figure out a better way for everybody to enjoy the show together. But so my mom and dad got new appliances in the house, and they're all connected to like Wi-Fi. And so the minute I heard Wi-Fi, I knew that I was going to be tasked with setting up this entire Wi-Fi system. I knew I was going to be tasked with it. And I don't I'm trying not to be mean. Okay, fine. I'll just be unfiltered. It's not that hard, people. It's not that hard. And I'm talking to the people that are, asking me for advice. Mom, dad, sorry guys. But like, I get that some things are hard, but like with Chris and the app thing, Chris and the Google Docs, and now Chris is catching strays. Like, why is it so hard? I just kind of figure it out on my own. I like to play around with things and figure it out. I do. I like to just mess around and, okay, I can't figure it out. I'm going to keep trying to figure it out. But it's like, I had someone ask me last week how to get on our Wi-Fi, or my Wi-Fi. And so I gave them the password, and they asked me what to do with that. Like, I can't help that. I can't help you. I'm sorry. I can't help you. If you don't know how to enter a password to connect to a Wi-Fi, sorry, you're going without Wi-Fi. And this is coming off very harsh. I understand that. But it's like sink or swim, people. Sink or swim. I can figure out the Wi-Fi just fine. You know what? I put it on the thing, and I type in the password, and boom, connected. But if I tell someone else to do that in my life, they're like, I don't understand it. How do I connect to the Wi-Fi? I don't know where to enter the password. And I have to and I go, you see that little field that says password? That's where you type in the password. Okay. I am okay, never mind. I should stop because I'm just throwing people under the bus now. I'm just complaining now, and I should stop because it's not nice. And I'm not talking to you, Trevor. You're great. Trevor's great. I got to figure out a better way for listeners to all merge together, because there's some people who asked for a separate channel to talk Skraby stuff, and then I want to make sure that our station has the channel going. Blah 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 blah. That's me. Blah 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 blah. All right, let's get into it real quick. The trade rumors for Marcell Ozuna, and I guess the Braves reporters now are saying that this isn't going to happen. But Hector Gomez reported that there have been trades. It's a source. Trade talks between Padres and Braves have intensified. The Padres are very interested in landing Marcell Ozuna. According to the source, the Braves would receive Padres number 18 prospect Francis Pena and number 21 prospect Ryan Berger. Now, today, Mark Bowman is replying to this report, or a question that someone asked him about this report, saying, according to my sources, the Braves and Padres haven't had any discussions of any kind about Marcell Ozuna. So this is where we got to say, these reports are false until a trade actually goes through. There are, and I'm not saying Hector Gomez is reporting something that is false, and I'm not saying he's one of these people, but I have been duped before by reporters that have just thrown rumors out there just to throw rumors out there and get some clicks. Do I think that the Padres would benefit from Marcell Ozuna? I don't think Marcell Ozuna is a good fit for this team. And he's not even having the greatest year either. So this is another reason. You're basically getting the same player that the Padres already have on their team. And Marcell Ozuna is 34. He's played 92 games this year. He's hit 13 home runs, 42 RBIs, 235 batting average, 751 OPS. Last year, he played all 162 games, and he hit 302 with 39 homers, 104 RBIs. The year before, 40 homers, 100 RBIs. And you might say that, hey, Marcell Ozuna is on a team that is struggling this year in the Braves. They started terrible. They just have never really been able to claw themselves out of the hole that they dug. But if you trade for Marcell Ozuna, you're bringing in a whole bunch. And I'm not going to go into all the things that happen with Marcell Ozuna and the police and Major League Baseball, because it happened a long time ago, but there are those things out there with Marcell Ozuna, and I don't think that's a good fit for the Padres. And really, it's not even about what has happened in the past. It's about what is happening now. If the Padres are going to trade Ryan Berger, who's shown that he can pitch, they're going to trade him and the number 18 prospect. I really want a better guy than a guy hitting 235 with 13 home runs in 92 games this year with an OPS of 751. If you're going to bring Marcell Ozuna in to be a DH, he has to hit for power. And a 751 OPS is not necessarily a DH's OPS. 925 OPS last year, 905 OPS in 2023. So obviously he has the talent. He is 34. Maybe he's getting up there. But I think that Marcell Ozuna would not help this team. And we were talking about trades earlier with Dylan Cease. And I think Dylan Cease I think it's better off just to stick with Dylan Cease. Unless you can get some crazy deal, some team willing to do something crazy to get Dylan Cease, I guess that I'm willing to just keep him and not get anything at the end of the year if it helps them with their pitching rotation. Now, in the playoffs, it's much different with the rotation because you're playing 5-game series to begin. And so you don't need a whole rotation. And then you're playing the 7-game series, the rest of the playoffs, and there's days off in between. You can manipulate the rotation. You don't need all 5 of your starters. And I remember when I was in college in San Francisco, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but Barry Zito was pitching for the Giants, and he wasn't the guy that signed the contract with the Giants. He just didn't live up to it. But this particular year, he pitched really, really well. And at a certain point, they left him off the roster. And so that is always an option. I know that getting something back that's valuable would help, But if you get to the point where you're in a 5-game series and you don't and you have your guy set, your starter set, you can leave Dylan Cease off the roster. I personally think he could pitch out of the bullpen. That guy, it seems like he could pitch anywhere. And I like that he makes all of his starts. And I like that he seems to care a lot about how he pitches. But I don't need a trade just for the sake of making a trade. I really think that AJ Preller is probably going to the one big huge need on this team, in my opinion, is the bench. If you want to listen to us go crazy on the bench earlier, go back to 2 p.m. and Gwynn and Chris, because the bench is not helping this team right now. And as much as I said in the past, hey, I like Trent Brooks. He's hitting the ball hard. Right now they need a guy who's hitting the ball hard and getting hits. And the last couple times Trenton Brooks has been up in big situations, he's popped the ball out to the infield. And it's just, you can't do that. Today in the 8th inning, he did that. Like, you have to have better options off the bench. And I know that people are upset with Trenton Brooks today, but Mike Schill has no other choice. So if you're going to be mad at someone, you got to be mad at the front office. There's so many different tentacles to this, but you got to have something better than Trenton Brooks, and you got to have something better than Tyler Wade. I love Tyler Wade. I made him my MVP before the year, but for some reason, the last month he has completely disappeared. And then they're giving him a start today, but it's like, you can't just expect someone to not play for a month and then throw him out there and have him go 2 for 2 with 2 home runs or triples or whatever. It's just not how baseball works. And so I think that AJ Preller is going to make little trades, and maybe, I don't think there's going to be a blockbuster trade for the Padres, but I do think that he's going to turn some heads with some of the bench pieces that he brings in. And maybe you can, if you really get a good deal, or if you find someone that you really want, you can get a left fielder that then moves Gavin Sheets to DH. And so you don't have to acquire a DH. You don't have to find a DH. You could put Gavin Sheets right into that DH spot. He can also play left field. He can also play first base. So you got flexibility. But if you can get a left fielder in, that would help alleviate a little bit of what the Padres are lacking right now on the bench. But right now, I don't feel good outside of Jose Iglesias about what the Padres have on their bench, and that is something that they're. So if you can get some relief pitching, you can do that. Starting pitching, I think they're good. They've already got their guys, and especially if Michael King is coming back. Pivetta is going to start the playoffs, and I kind of would love to see Nick Pivetta have a big strikeout in the playoffs and see how crazy he goes. That guy is someone I want on my playoff team, for sure. For sure. All right, when we get back, I'm going to talk a little bit about the schedule, and then we have our daily gripe. There was also the live sports Napster moment we'll get to. More Skraby Show on the way, 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods.
All right, I have been completely off of my clock this entire show. So, we got a limited segment here. I did see some comments in the chat about Dylan Cease. I got a tweet as well saying that they should let him go because he's lost it. And I can't say that he's lost it, but I can't also say that he has it. Dylan Cease has been a conundrum this year. He gave up no runs against the Nationals on Friday, and he gave up 6 runs against the Diamondbacks in his last start before the All-Star break. He gave up 4 runs against the Phillies in the second game of that doubleheader. But if you look at his game log, he usually gives up like what his ERA says. His ERA is 4.64, and I think that's a little bit high. If you take out the two, the lowest and the highest, I think the ERA comes down a little bit because for the most part, he gives up 2 or 3 earned runs. Like I did this a couple weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago at this point, and then immediately he went out and gave up a bunch of runs, so it made me look stupid. But and last thing on Dylan Cease, unless the Padres find a trade that benefits them now at the major league level, I'm not interested in getting rid of Dylan Cease. You're just going to have to deal with it. J-Mac, hey, Matt Skraby, when do we get a Skraby bobblehead? Oh, I have no idea about that. That would be kind of fun to make a bobblehead, though. That would be kind of fun. All right, let's do this. Let me start with what really bothered me today. And what I was going to say about the schedule, and since I'm running out of time, basically, you control your own destiny here in August. You win, you're going to be fine. You lose, you're going to put yourself in a really tough spot because they're going to be playing the Mets when they get home, then St. Louis again, and then they're going to be playing the Dodgers and the Giants in back-to-back weeks. So this is a very important stretch for the Padres. Very, very, very important. And the old cliche, you control your own destiny. Here's what bothered me about the game today. And it has to do with the fact that Sandy Alcantara went 7 innings today, gave up 1 run. In his previous 4 starts before today, he gave up 22 earned runs in 23 innings pitched. So he had an 8.61 ERA in his last 4 starts heading into today. What bothered me is why does it seem, and I'm not saying that I have proof of this, but why does it seem like the Padres end up being the get-right team for these guys that are struggling? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And today kind of not broke me a little bit. It didn't break me. Today irked me a lot. The Marlins are not a bad team, but they are a team that the Padres should probably beat in a series. And I really don't understand why they're able to beat up on these bad teams. And then they face someone who actually is struggling and has one of the highest ERAs among starters in baseball. And they make him look like he's 2022 Sandy Alcantara. And you could say, hey, he's able to find it at any point. But why did they always find it against the Padres? I need to actually go and do some more research on this because my feelings are mostly wrong. And that's why I had a segment earlier in the year, like Padres fact check. And it proves to me that I'm wrong with my assumptions. But I think my assumption today was that the Padres would get a couple runs, 2 or 3 runs off of San Diego Contra, maybe 4. And then they would deal with their pitching, or they would have their pitching, and then they would win the game and win the series. This was a winnable series. These are series that you have to win in the second part of the season. And they didn't. And today, there were a couple mistakes that the Padres make, and that cost them the game. Maybe not the whole game, but it definitely didn't help. There's just so many, it's just inconsistent. But in the end, this team is still 8 games over 500. And in the end, this team is still finding ways to win. It's just these are the games that you have to win. I talked about before the All-Star break. You have to go into Washington and Miami and take both series. And they took the Washington series. They did not take the Miami series. So right now they're 3-3 on the road trip, and then they're going to St. Louis now for 4 games. St. Louis just got shut out by the Rockies, but St. Louis is not a bad team either. They're going to be playing nothing but good teams here until September, and then you get a little relief in the schedule department, but you got to control your own destiny. Trevor says Manny got tightened down his defense. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Manny does have to tighten down his defense. Clay says Skraby runners in scoring position. The other is move the runners. Yeah, you got to hit with runners in scoring position. When they're right at the plate, they do it perfectly. They're able to move the line. They're able to wear down pitchers. They're able to do a lot of stuff. But when they're not hitting as a team, it is a struggle. It is a struggle. And my daily gripe is going to be about Luis Arraez. That's what we'll save for the end. But I really wanted to quickly get into this article about how analysts are saying that live sports could have a Napster moment. And I think they're right. So basically what this article is saying is that back when Napster came out, people found a way to get music for free, and it really hurt the music industry. Now that sports has made it complicated on us, like this is not the consumer's fault. Everybody just decided, hey, we got to have our streaming service and we got to charge a bunch of money for it. I don't care if the fan has to watch a game in 3 different places. That is the problem. That is the problem. Like, you have to understand that we as consumers aren't going to watch as much if you make it super difficult for us and you put it behind a paywall. Like we should not have to go to Apple TV. We should not have to go to Roku. We should not have to go to MLB. We should not have to go to all of these different things to watch these games. And that's just Major League Baseball. But what analysts are saying is that people are going to start getting angry at this, and they're going to start using illegal streaming sites. And they're going to start using the illegal streaming sites that a lot of you probably already use. I think this article is correct in the fact that this could be a Napster moment, meaning that people are going to start going to stealing this stuff instead of paying for this stuff because we've been kind of forced into a spot to do it. And everything's so expensive. You have to pay for several different services to watch games. And that adds up. And we're not rich. And it seems like the disparity is becoming bigger and bigger. But could it have a Napster moment? Absolutely. I could see it having a Napster moment where people stop paying the subscription services and they start stealing it from these streaming sites. And these streaming sites pop up all the time. All the time. I wish I had more time to talk about it, but that's the gist of it. And so now we'll get into my daily gripe.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out.
Oh, I was a minute behind. There goes my math. Oh, no. You know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to take this down because I want to talk about this Luis Arraez thing. And I'm going to move some things. So I'm going to be going a little bit later. Sorry, Adam. Sorry. I lost track of time. But my daily gripe today is Luis Arraez. Because I love Luis. In theory, I think Luis works. But when he's not hitting, it doesn't work. And when you are able to take a walk, like today, you need to take the walk. You could have loaded the bases late in the game, and you didn't. You ended up swinging at ball 4 twice. And that's it's hard for me to question Luis Arraez because he's a 3-time batting title champion. So it's hard to question him a little bit in that regard. But I would much rather him take a walk there and then come up and have Manny come up with the bases loaded. I like that chance over Luis Arraez swinging at ball 4. Like it's easier. It's easier for him to. He strikes out sometimes because he swings at pitches that are way out of the zone. when he could have taken it for ball 4 and he could have gone on base. And maybe that's not what they're telling him to do. Maybe they're telling him to try as hard as he can to get a hit. But I really need to see Luis Arraez allow Manny Machado to get up and try to do something. Manny Machado had the only RBI in the game today. Why not let him try to drive everyone in with the bases loaded? Put some pressure on the pitcher. Put some pressure on the defense. Make it so that if Manny gets a hit, that they have to be perfect to try and keep the game. They're trying to keep the lead or losing the lead. Like, that was really frustrating for me today. And so I get it. I love Luis Arraez. I really, really, really do. But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, why are we swinging at ball 4 when Manny Machado is on deck? Like, why? Dominic says, I don't think they're telling him anything. I think Schilt lets him do his thing. I kind of agree. And to a point, I think they should let him do his thing. But situationally, he should have known to go with ball 4 instead of swinging and taking away the Padres' chance to tie the game or score. So that's my daily gripe. I'm sorry, Luis. I appreciate you. You're funny. But I wanted to see you walk to get Manny up today. All right, that's it for me. Thank you to everybody who's listening today. I will be back on Tuesday. Hopefully the show can go on without me, but I will be talking to all you Scrabinaires next week. Matt Skraby out on 97.3 The Fan.
San Diego is